21-year-old Abdirahman Ibrahim found himself face to face in front of a judge after being found guilty of murder. His demeanour was unnerving as he waited in silence. Each minute that passed as the judge gave his closing statement felt like a lifetime. And that's what Abdirahman got: life. Life for weaponizing his car and ploughing into an e-bike rider. For no other reason than Abdirahman felt mugged off. The case was straightforward too. On August 1st, 2023, two friends, the victim, 22-year-old Liam Jones, who was also known as Capz and lived in the Alum area of Birmingham with his sister, and his pal Tayzhon Johnson, who was 18 years old at the time. Now the two friends had spent the afternoon together, taking their £2,000 sur-on ebikes for a ride across the stretch of Birmingham. This was something that the mates had done time and time again. After venturing through the city just before 11:30 p.m, Tayzhon had called a timeout and suggested that the friends head back as the sur-on batteries were soon going to be depleted. They was running on low, and neither man wanted to push those e-bikes back home or arrange the bikes to be collected at a later date. So, while riding the sur-on e-bikes, Birmingham Crown Court was told neither Capz or Tayzhon had protective gear on, nor helmets. Rather, Capz was wearing a balaclava-type mask, and Tayzhon opted to pull his hood up over his head, drawstrings drawn. CCTV later captured Tayzhon and Liam riding along in unison along the A45 Coventry Road. As the two friends passed grilled steak and desserts on the opposite direction, sat in the driver's seat of a Seat Leon with mods and tinted windows was Abdirahman. He was with two other people. One person included his older brother. Abdirahman had circled round the roundabout by Asda's small heath and closed the gap between himself and the two e-bike riders. The reason was not known because nothing had happened or transpired at this point between Liam, Tayzhon and Abdirahman. As the e-bike riders continued to ride, it was first Tayzhon who noticed the Seat Leon circle back round and follow them, and he described the car as being full. Liam Jones then made a mistake that would ultimately cost him his life. While standing up on the pedals of the bike still riding, Liam pulled the throttle back and lifted the front wheels up, performing a wheelie in front of the Seat Leon. It was a form of showboating. Now Tayzhon signalled to Liam to turn off the Coventry Road by taking the first exit at the Swan Island on the A4040. Tayzhon then signalled to go the wrong way round along Harvey Road in order to lose the Seat Leon. They had no idea why this car was still following them. Now, Tayzhon had explained to police that he did not recognise the Seat, but the car had driven with purpose in the same direction as himself and Liam, and it was nerving. Normally, when cars are trying to get the e-bikers' attention, they would either beep or flash their lights. But when Abdirahman had pressed an acceleration pedal and straddled between the lanes as though he was trying to navigate the same path as the e-bike riders, it then became really apparent that Abdirahman did not have good intention, and he was trying to knock those guys off the bikes. The Seat's engine roared and rattled as it took the A4040 as well, in pursuit of Liam and Tayzhon. When the duo turned onto Harvey Lane, the Seat also turned, and when Tayzhon and Liam pulled the throttle, Abdirahman pressed down on his acceleration pedal and shifted into a higher gear. When Abdirahman was no further away than a metre, Tayzhon told Liam to get onto the footpath now, and when Tayzhon looked back at his friends, the Seat had clipped Liam's wheel, shunting the 22-year-old forward. Miraculously, the first shunt did not prove fatal, and Liam was still actually able to straighten out his bike and not fall off. However, Abdirahman, who was out for blood, either the intention to seriously hurt or injure Liam, a man he had never met before and had no previous interactions, or worse, K, Abdirahman pressed the acceleration pedal again, and the Seat Leon had roared forward and ploughed into the back tyre of Liam's sur-on ebike. A loud bang stunned Tayzhon, and it rattled his ears, and he saw his pal be lifted up in the air. Sadly, Liam, after going through the air, he made contact with a concrete post at high speed before he was sprawled out at the roadside. Concerned that Abdirahman was now coming for him, Tayzhon had turned off on Moat Lane and went into Gilberstone Park. Hiding, Tayzhon then called his girlfriend, panic set in and his heart knocking and beating on his chest plate. Now when Tayzhon had returned to the scene, police and paramedics were already at the scene, and 22-year-old Liam Jones, better known as Capz, was in a bad way. Tayzhon saw his mates not moving and emergency services trying to work on him, but sadly Capz was pronounced dead at the scene, his injuries categorized as catastrophic and beyond repair. In the aftermath of the wreckage, 21-year-old Abdirahman Ibrahim had performed a U-turn in Moat Lane, and then he fled the scene by travelling along Vera Road at high speed. So fast was Abdirahman's speed to flee the crime scene that his tyres left impressions at the roadside. Abdirahman knew that he had rammed Liam off the road, but the cold and calculating man did not care. Abdirahman thought that his behaviour was acceptable and put his own callous actions down to teaching Liam a lesson about showboating and disrespect. So blasé to his crime, Abdirahman decamped the car and abandoned the Seat at Golden Hillock Sports Ground. Abdirahman, whom had his older brother in the car at the time of the M, had arranged for a taxi to pick him up. He then told the taxi driver to stop off at a shop on Coventry Road so he could pick up a drink to finish the night off. Over the next few days, Abdirahman's brother Abdullah Ibrahim had later returned to Golden Hillock Sports Ground, and an unidentified man was with him, and together they removed the Seat from that location. But within 72 hours, Abdirahman was arrested at his home address in Birmingham Grove in the Yardley area of Birmingham. When the cold metal of handcuffs tightened around his slim wrists, Abdirahman remained silent after he was told that he was being charged with the M. And in the weeks after the M, hundreds of mourners had gone to the crime scene, doing things like playing music, drinking, and riding bikes up and down the residential streets. The usual quaint and quiet street trembled under the sound of engines continuously, and it had residents scared. Meanwhile, Abdirahman was placed behind the cell door while remanded in H&P, pending his court date. In court, Abdirahman went about trying to explain the collision as nothing more than an accident, a race that had fatal consequences. There was no admittance of road rage or pursuing Liam Jones and Tayzhon. The court and jury rejected their account and made Abdirahman aware that they believed that he had weaponized his Seat Leon to cause harm to the victim. Now, Abdirahman, after 2 trials, was found guilty of the M, and his brother Abdullah was found guilty of assisting an offender. The judge commented by saying, "You pursued them, being Liam and Tayzhon, in a determined and deliberate way after leaving the Swan Island. There is, on my assessment, no sensible explanation for your driving in that way other than wanting to catch and make physical contact with one or both bikes." Abdirahman was found guilty of the M and he was jailed for life. He was also told that he would have to serve a minimum term of 22 years in jail before he could potentially be released. The judge also concluded that his intention was to cause Liam really serious harm as opposed to an intention to K. Now, Abdullah was jailed for 2 years and 10 months for assisting an offender, being his brother, which was misplaced loyalty. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe, and as always, condolences.